Welcome everyone. This is a hot start. We haven't started like this because we're going to cover so much in today's live stream. We don't want to waste any time. So no sizzle reel introduction, no news. We're going to cover the news towards the end of live stream. So we're going to talk about GTC coming up in Washington D.C. Coral's coming up. We'll cover some of the stuff at the end of live stream. So hang out for all that news. We are very excited today. As you can see, I have a couple of great colleagues from NVIDIA. We're going to be covering safety in the loop, accelerating physical AI system safety and certification with NVIDIA HALOS AI Systems Inspection Lab. So we're going to cover a bunch of things in today's live stream. We're going to take your questions as always. I'm going to introduce my colleagues here in a second, but just to tee things up, we're going to be exploring the safety challenges of developing physical AI systems, share the latest progress in AI safety standardization for autonomous vehicles and robotics, and give you actionable guidance on accelerating system certification. That's a mouthful, but we're going to cover this all in a few minutes. You're also going to get an inside look at the NVIDIA HALOS AI Systems Inspection Lab, the first ANAB-accredited lab dedicated to inspecting physical AI systems. I'm super excited. We've had a really great time in the warm-ups. The information you're going to see presented by my colleagues Ekram and Ricardo are amazing. We have a nice 2-minute video we'll show a little bit later. So let's jump right in. Let's start with introducing my great colleagues here. Starting next to me, Ekram, very happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Edmar, and thanks to all of you for joining us. My name is Akram Mokbel. I've been in the semiconductor industry for over 20 years. My background is in computer engineering, and I've been with NVIDIA since 2013. My role here is a director of automotive developer relations, and so I help support our customers who are using NVIDIA platforms end to end.
Super.
Yeah, thank you.
That's super exciting. And then you also brought your great colleague here, Ricardo. Ricardo, how are you doing? And actually, so everybody knows these guys are actually sitting right next to each other at the office. So they're at NVIDIA HQ. We have them in these nice sound booths so that everything looks and sounds good. But Ricardo, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, hi everyone. I'm Ricardo, VP of Industry Safety at NVIDIA. My role is to make safety fun. No, I'm joking. My role is to help safety across the company, both in the EV, robotics, medical, healthcare. I joined NVIDIA, I think 6 years ago. Before that, I was at Intel, and even earlier, I had my own company exactly doing safety. I think I've done safety since I was a kid. And I mean, also quite a role in international, also standard, but you will hear in the following about me.
That's amazing. I'm sure your parents must have been very proud that you focused on safety in your life. I'm sure they have good stories, maybe when safety wasn't a big concern on your mind when you were little. But great to see that's been your focus for so long. Let me start with one quick question, because obviously this is on the NVIDIA Omniverse community channels, and we have a lot of developers that are leveraging Omniverse for their platform. How does this intersect with Omniverse, Ekram?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Well, we're going to be talking about the challenges of physical AI and how we're resolving it and helping to address it in automotive, which means we're going to be talking a little bit about our 3 computers. That's a DGX system for training, Omniverse and Cosmos for simulation and synthetic data generation, and then our AGX, which is our embedded in-vehicle system for deployment.
Amazing. Okay, great. And I have this great presentation that you guys shared. We're going to so we're going to go through some of this some of the information here. We want everyone to absolutely continue to present your questions, any comments you have in the live chat. We're going to be circling back to those at different points in the hour. Absolutely. Let us know where you're watching from, or if you have any relevant projects that you want to share, feel free to share that there too. Okay, so Ricardo, are you going to kick us off here?
Actually, I will.
Oh, okay,
Let me do that. Yes. All right. Let me level set everyone. I'd like to level set our discussion by defining physical AI. At its core, it's about combining the physical system with intelligence. And so here we have a system that's taking in sensor tokens from cameras that are processing the real world, text tokens from a user's command, and giving it to the VLM, or the visual language model. The visual language model fuses the visual image and the text data to understand the context and the user's intent. That understanding is then fed into the output token transformer. And that's really acts as the decision-making engine, and it translates everything into a sequence of action tokens. These action tokens could be, in the case of a car, to say steer left, or in the case of the robot, grab that object. And this is really where AI meets reality. Ricardo, can you help touch on what could possibly go wrong?
Yes, of course. This is exactly the ungrateful role of a safety engineer. I always need to think what could go wrong. I mean, AI is great. It can certainly do great things, adding human-like approaches. But as any other system or any kind of other thing, it may go wrong. There are many different ways in which such a things can go wrong. Those are some cartoons just to explain. Of course, you may have an autonomous car that is maybe selecting a wrong turn. So that it's not a big issue. You may miss an appointment, you may be unhappy, but it's not really safety related, at least as a first look. And then it could happen that the autonomous vehicle cannot see an obstacle. So obstacle could be something maybe unforeseen, very static or dynamic, like a car in front of you that is doing a sharp turn when you didn't expect it. Or even worse, autonomous car may hit a pedestrian, like, I don't know, a small child, and it may happen something extreme. So maybe this is an extreme scenario. I don't know, you are driving in a city where there is a carnival and there is a person dressed as a dinosaur in front of you. And of course, the car may not be trained for that or something similar. Similarly, in humanoid robotics, a humanoid robot may make a mistake, or maybe he's creating a damage to an asset. It may hit an obstacle, but even worse, may hit a human unintentionally, or it may lose control. And in fact, so just using this as an example is a very critical situation. I mean, humanoid robot could be very big. And in fact, we are creating now, started a few months ago, a new standard on safety function to control humanoid instability.
Oh, Ekman, you're muted. There you go.
There we go. All right. Basically, Ricardo, you're saying that anything can happen, and that doesn't sound safe to me, which brings up the fact that safety can mean different things for different people. Can you help break down what safety means from an engineering perspective?
Oh, yes, indeed. I mean, we may discuss about safety about a whole day. And also I have seen in the chart, there are many aspects of safety, the content safety, ethics of safety, worker safety. But in order to focus, and this is also the focus of this, is the safety in a physical system. So from an engineering viewpoint, safety in a physical system is part of a larger, I would say, concept that involves availability. Of course, you want a function being available that should be reliable and resilient to anything. And of course, it has to be secure. You don't want that someone is attacking. And of course, you have to deliver a function in a certain time. But then if we zoom on safety, that in some of the safety standard is defined as absence of unacceptable risk, then we have many different safety, system safety, safety of the intended functionality, functional safety, and the new thing on AI safety. I think what is also interesting is that all these things interact one with the other. For example, you may add a guardrail for safety, but this may open a backdoor for attack. So when you architect as an engineer, all these aspects you need to have in mind that these are part of a whole system topic.
I really love this diagram. Thanks for breaking it down. Can you help share what's the relationship between system safety, functional safety, and AI safety?
Yes, I mean, also this may take a day. I think it also may, many people may disagree on some wording, but let's say if we start from the baseline functional safety, we may say this is safety from the bottom, even if it's not really true, but somehow functional safety is about to guarantee that a system that is composed by electrical, electronic, FPGA, system on chip, hardware and software is free of bugs. So this we call systematic hardware or software failure, and then is also free, or somehow you are able to identify and detect hardware random failure happening in the field. There are so many safety standards that are related to it. For example, for automotive, the ISO 26262, IEC 61508, for industrial, and there are many other. And then there are also regulation, of course. Then if you start instead from the top, we have more system safety and safety of the intended functionality. This is where you try to have more an holistic approach from top. You identify, assess, and eliminate control hazard, and the safety of the intended functionality. For example, you address uncertainty and also limitation of sensor. Again, safety standard like the ISO 21448, UL 4600, and others, and similar also regulation. And then this is the new friend in the game, that is AI safety. So AI safety, again, is a big topic. What is relevant for a physical AI system is basically explainability, data and test quality, robustness of the model, quantification of uncertainty, and other things. We will deep dive a little bit later. The standards are flourishing as mushroom, as we may say, in the sense that, for example, there are the ISO IC DTR 5469, the TS 22440 as a follow-up, the ISO PAS 8800 we will touch a little bit, and there are also regulation in different countries.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit more about the standards on AI and functional safety, like ISO, IEC TR 5469?
Yeah, I know it's a lot of number, Ekram. It's easy so that you confuse. So basically, the TR 5469 has been the first international report on functional safety and AI system. Has been also followed up quickly by the ISO PAS 8800, that is the road vehicles view of AI safety and AI. And then now we have the TS 22440 series. I am the convener of it, in which we basically follow up the TR 5469 with a normative requirement, has been also recently adopted by Sensenelec in the ISO IC JTC 1. And then we have the TS 25223. A lot of number, but very high level. One of the key topics is classifying the technologies using AI. First, it could be so what we call the software class, the technology class. So it could be based on the complexity of the model, the maturity of the model. On the other hand, you have application user level. So what you are using AI for in functional safety. It could be a safety function with a direct impact. This is what we call application user level A1. And then, or it could be a tool. And this is, for example, application user level B1 or B2. So using AI as a tool. And then it could be an AI technology assisting functional safety to give a little bit more availability without, let's say, affecting safety. This is somehow application user level C. And of course, as you can see, those are the colors of intensity of requirement. If you are a software technology class 2 or class 3, and you have application user level 1, this is the highest requirement level, and the green one are somehow the easiest one. Now, another key topic that is very relevant for AI technology is evaluation and quantification of uncertainty. You basically have uncertainty at design time, and that could be aleatoric or epistemic. You can have uncertainty when you deploy your system, like the quality of your input, the model fit. In this field, we speak about ODD, operational design domain. So you may go outside of the ODD, and then, of course, you combine all of that you quantify that, and then you have at the end a performance of your system.
That's a great overview. About the standards. So what about regulations? What's the relationship between standards and regulations?
Yes, so it's a great question. So let's say at the very high level, for standard, you somehow you comply on you decide if to comply or not. I would say on a volunteer, on a based on let's say you can comply, while on regulation you must comply. However, many of the regulation, they point to standard as kind of the state of art. So this is in general the difference between safety, standard, and regulation. Now, if we speak about regulation, this is the example of AV. Also, this is quite evolving. As you can see here, there's a roadmap of basically 5-6 years. And the regulation, they could be related to function like advanced emergency braking. It could be related to process, now the way you define you design an L2++ or L3 or L4 system, and then also have something like cybersecurity with UNECE 155. Now, one of the key things that is also important is this regulation may vary country by country. You can have something in US, Europe, China, India, Japan, and so forth.
Okay, so I think I understand standards and regulations. How do you prove safety? Like when I think of a physical AI system, I see it like built on multiple layers, right? All the way from hardware and operating system to simulation and deployment. How do you actually achieve safety across all of these different layers?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. There are different approaches. Some you can start from the bottom, so you address each layer starting from bottom. Other you start from top, more system. For example, there are some views that saying if I approach anything at the system level, the layer on the bottom will be somehow there automatically. Our approach is a combination of both. So basically, we approach safety and cybersecurity and AI safety at each layer, but also, of course, they may be driven by a system level thing. So in essence, the flow is what is shown here. First, you define the product. And as I mentioned it earlier, in this field, you have ODD, the operational design domain that you want to do it, and the type of function. Then you merge into it the requirement from regulation and standard. Then basically you identify the hazards, so what could go wrong. Then you evaluate the risk of those hazards. That could be exposure. So how often in a certain condition you are exposed to that hazard, severity, I mean, in terms of injuries, what will happen, and also the controllability. So how much the human may react. And of course, if you think to AV for a low level of automation, like, I don't know, L2, then the user has still possibility to interact. In L4 is much less or known. So this is really impactful. Now, of course, with AI, one of the key steps is to analyze AI failures, and you bring those AI failures into this process. After you have done that, you define the physical AI safety requirement. And then, of course, on the basis of what you want to achieve and based on the AI failure, you architect your safety argument based on design time, runtime, and also safety at the validation time. At the end, you cook all of that like in a kitchen, and then you estimate, and then you validate the result in terms, just one example of metric, the MTBF.
Okay, so AI failures. Tell me more.
Yes. So again, it's a large topic. Here we are listing some of the AI failure that you find in a standard like the ISOPAS 8800 or the TS 22440. So that could be related to the creation of the model, to the inputs itself, to the insufficiency of the AI model, after creation, the supervisor that you used, the guardrail, and the testing aspect. So just to give a couple examples, one of the most critical is, of course, if the data set is insufficient, or the explainability is a topic that is very hot in AI safety, how you guarantee explainability, or the robustness. So robustness is in between safety, reliability, so how you guarantee that your model is sufficiently robust. And you then relate all of that with the operational design domain, and then based on the AI failure, you identify the guardrails. So this is very important. The guardrails are defined to tackle the AI failures, and this is the link.
Okay. And I hear a lot about safety guardrails. You just mentioned it. How and how AI is like a completely new beast. Does this mean like we have to reinvent safety from scratch? Is that really true?
Yeah. So again, this could be a topic that could be very spicy. On one end, of course, it's a completely new field. Some of the properties and the mechanisms of AI require new methods, but still, safety is based on three pillars. And those three pillars are still valid. Basically, diversity. Diversity means that first, from the engineering level, you ensure safety, for example, by independent source of information, multiple sensing, camera, radar, LiDAR, ultrasonic, and other sensors. Then you also architect with redundant system. So this is more architectural aspect. And so diversity is also true for AI components. There are many types of diversity. One example is that in the data set. So you would like to have a data set that is diverse for training, diverse for verification, diverse for testing, so that you are not surprised if you encounter something like an out of distribution. And then we have the monitoring. And basically, first is monitoring yourself in terms of the system. You do monitoring of the health of your hardware and software. It may also include, for certain system, human operator. But then also there is AI monitoring. I would say, as I mentioned earlier on, you detect if you are within your ODD. So then, if you are out of your ODD, you may do a reaction. Last but not least, verification and validation. That is, in fact, it's true. It's a really important role on AI. So, of course, you want to do verification and validation across the whole story, and especially for AI component, you verify the test set and all the different models.
Okay, so I guess achieving safety is one part of the story, and like you said, the other part is verification and validation. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes. So if we start from the top of this diagram, I mean, every safety engineer, since you are kids, so you hear about V model. V model, what is about? V model is you on the left side of the V, you do your so you start from requirement, you build an architecture, then you design your software and hardware, including your AI architecture. And then on the right side of the V is where you do testing, verification, validation, and ultimately you verify that you have designed your system according to the requirement. So that is the basic V. With the AI system, we basically, in this world of a physical system, we add other two layers of V. I mean, this is one of the spicy point. Many people say, oh, no, it's not really a V, it's more a circular loop due to the nature of AI. But for simplicity also of the diagram, it's kind of adding two things. One is the life cycle of the model. So the way you architect your model, the way you define the ODD, as mentioned earlier on, how then you implement your model, the way you test and evaluate the model, and also how you monitor the model into operation. And then last but not least, really this I believe it's one of the key things is the data lifecycle. How you collect your data, how you label the architecture of the data set, then the operation with the data set, the assessment of the quality of the data set, the evaluation, and when you deploy such a data set.
Okay, so we're just, so this is not just a V model, but there's some like circular or life cycle, flywheel of some kind. Can you give me more details?
Yes, so in fact, we call Flywheel. This is an example of what we do in AV, similar for robotics. The story is of course start with collection of data, but in order to accelerate, and not just to accelerate, but to reduce the risk of a corner event or edge cases, you want to generate data in a synthetic way, starting from ground truth and then expanding. Then you process all of data and you generate such a data set. I already told you, basically redundant or diverse data set, like for training, validation, and testing. Then you perform your simulation and validation, and then you deploy at the end into the fleet. You may have a request of replaying in case of scenario, but it could also be like a corner event, or you have identified a trigger or a near miss. Then you go back, and this is the circular loop, the continuous loop. You go back to the processing, and maybe you generate new scenario based on what you have shown. This is what we meant as circular loop and the flywheel.
Okay, and this is where the three computers come in. So the DGX for training, the Omniverse and Cosmos for synthetic data generation, and AGX for deployment. I got it. Okay, so we talked a lot about methodology in detail. Now let's consider like the whole system, from the software and hardware up to the AI models and verification. Can you give us some examples of challenges for integration?
Yes, and that's really one of the key points. In the sense, we are a very complex system, on chip with many billions of transistors. We have very complex board with many sensors. We have complex operating system, and even the basic software shown here is very complex with a lot of driver. And this is the platform. So already when you build that platform, of course, you may have from NVIDIA, from other, the safety manual, the cybersecurity manual, but integrating all of that and verifying that the integration requirements have been implemented in the right way, it's not absolutely an easy thing, and it can have a lot of issues. Example, there could be a requirement into an operating system that you allocate certain tasks in certain accelerator and within a certain time with a certain safety requirement. And then, of course, you need to verify that this is happening on top of what is written in a document. Then if we go up, you may have a platform that used in different use cases or different ODD. We call that safety element or cybersecurity element out of concept. So how you are sure when you change the use case, if you need to re-verify some of the safety and cybersecurity requirement, or even integrated sensors. For example, there could be a requirement for a sensor that you need to execute a test at startup with a certain coverage. You need to verify that, because otherwise all your safety story may have a gap. And then we go on top where the complexity grows, satisfying the SOTIF requirement, evaluating the data and test quality of the different model. You may have a redundant system like this one with a modular stack and foundational model. And then eventually you verify your AI guardrails. This is where of course, for example, you may have a safety evaluator, and you need to be sure that the safety evaluator you defined when you design your system is still somehow validated and cost in such a context, and then eventually you comply with the regulation. That is the whole story. And as you can see, is not a work that you can do by yourself. It's a combination of efforts. Really, safety, something that has to be handled more in that context as a community, I would say.
Got it. Thank you. And that's a perfect segue for our video where Jensen's going to help break it down.
Okay, so everyone, check out this video. This lasts about 2 minutes, but it's action-packed, and we'll be back to talk about it right afterwards. Here we go.
Like any driver, autonomous vehicles operate in a world full of unpredictable and potentially safety-critical scenarios. NVIDIA DRIVE, built on the HALOS safety system, lets developers build safe autonomous vehicles with diverse software stacks and sensors and redundant computers. It starts with training. Safe AVs need massive amounts of diverse data to be able to address edge cases. But real-world data is limited. Developers use NVIDIA Omniverse and Cosmos to reconstruct the real world and generate realistic synthetic training data to bring diversity to the AV model. The model can perceive and reason about its environment, predict future outcomes, and generate a motion plan. And for decision-making diversity, an independent classical stack runs in parallel. Guardrails monitors safe performance, and in cases of anomalies, calls the arbitrator to make an emergency stop. Further diversity and redundancy are built into the sensor and compute architecture. Each sensor connects to redundant computers, so even if a sensor or computer fails, the vehicle stays safe and operational. And in the event of a critical failure, the system can execute a minimum risk maneuver, like pulling over to the shoulder. Safety is foundational to autonomous driving. NVIDIA DRIVE lets developers worldwide integrate HALOS into their own products to build the next generation of safe AVs.
Amazing. And that gentleman will be speaking at GTC DC at the end of October, if you want to hear more from him. But that was great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you. Hope everyone enjoyed that video. We heard Jensen talk about HALOS. Ricardo, can you tell us more? What is NVIDIA HALOS?
Yes, so I mean, NVIDIA is working on safety since so many years. We have invested 15,000 man-year on safety. We have addressed safety at every layer. And so at a certain point in time, we believed that we need to create that philosophy, methodology, really end-to-end. This is what is HALOS. So HALOS is a full-stack comprehensive safety system. Safety in that sense include also cybersecurity and AI safety for AV, but now extended also to robotics. It's composed by all those elements. As we always say, you can take all of any of those layers. Those layers have been independently assessed by external certification agencies. And then at the end, and this will be one of the topic, Kram, you will help me to describe, is the AI System Inspection Lab, exactly to solve the challenges that you have seen, how we help our customer using any or all of those elements to be safe and secure and AI safety. So this is HALOS in a single word.
Got it. Thank you. And yes, let me get into what is the NVIDIA HALOS AI Systems Inspection Lab. It's basically an opportunity for our partners who are leveraging our pre-assessed HALOS elements that we talked about, who are leveraging these HALOS elements in as they're using their product. And they can participate in the lab to help ensure that they are integrating their systems in compliance with all the safety, AI safety, and cybersecurity and regulatory requirements. And they could do that through an impartial assessment. that's where NVIDIA safety and regulatory experts are involved to help them through that process. And upon a successful completion of the assessment and a successful assessment results, our partners will receive a tangible inspection report and a certificate that they can then take to the technical services or a vehicle certification agency to streamline their final certification and type approval. And then they could become NVIDIA Halo certified members and Halo certified system. Ricardo, I heard you mention that the inspection lab is accredited by ANAB. Can you touch on what that means?
Yes, so that's important. So the being accredited means that you so basically means first that you have a process to when you do inspection that is impartial, that is independent, sufficiently independent, as also, of course, expert in the technology. So, and there are many other aspects. In particular, we have been accredited for the ISO IC 17020, that is a universally accepted, I would say, standard to describe how inspection is done. And by the way, I saw one of the comment. Of course, we need to do the inspection that makes sense. And it's very key topic. I like that question because you may inspect a huge amount of things, but you don't catch the key point. So one of the requisites of being accredited is also the inspector are able to do less than more, but doing exactly what it matters. Now, when you are accredited for a certain standard. So this is the current set of standard from functional safety to SOTIF, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, UNECE regulation. As also, we have been the first accredited by ANAB in the US that is combining all of that in a single inspection flow. This is what makes be as accredited.
Okay, and how do you? It makes sense, but how do you tie these standards, kind of with the specific NVIDIA Halos elements?
Yeah, and this is a great question because otherwise maybe people can be confused. What are we doing? What is the value we bring? So I think you can immediately imagine the value that NVIDIA may bring when a customer or a partner is using one of our Halos elements. Then we basically do two things. One, we inspect that the customer or partner is implementing our safety, cybersecurity, AI safety requirement in the right way. Right way means with the spirit of the requirement. They mean it being implemented in different ways. But then also when we take one of those requirements, it could be something like you need to build a test with a coverage of 90%. This is tied to one requirement of a safety standard like ISO 262-5, something. And so then we combine the requirement in our element and the requirement from safety standard. Then in some cases like safety of AI, in which, of course, you may use our model, you may use your own model, but in the context of our safety evaluator. So in this case, we do inspection according to the ISO Pass 8800 or DTR 5469 and DTS 222. And then similarly for deregulation and or for robotics. This is how we combine all those aspects all together.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense. What would you say is our positioning with respect to the lab? Are we replacing the traditional certification bodies?
That's also a great question we always have. Of course not. So what is our role? Our role is to combine, is to help accelerate the path into the final system approval and certification. We, as NVIDIA, where we bring value when there is our Halos element, and AI, of course, is one of the key value that NVIDIA is bringing. This is where we bring our value. So we generate we do inspection, and if everything is good, then we deliver a certificate of inspection, and this is given as an input to external certification agency. Those are some of the names, that they have officially recognize our lab. Of course, they need to read our reports, they need to combine with their method, and then at the end, they will do the final system verification and certification. This is the way, so we really works hand in hand with those to create a global safety ecosystem, to accelerate safety and AI safety certification.
Okay. Yeah. And I guess the question on everyone's mind is who can take part in the lab, and that's basically everyone who's building on our platform. That includes sensor vendors, software stack providers, OEMs or ODMs that are building the electronic control unit, or third parties like tool providers. So no matter where you are in the value chain, the program is designed to help you accelerate and your path to certification. In terms of the process to engage, the lab is designed to be very clear and structured. It's a 3-step process. We first start with onboarding, where we work with you on a pre-evaluation checklist to understand the scope of the engagement together with the inspectors. And then it's the inspection, where this is where we have a series of meetings, we review, and the inspectors review your products and the results, and they develop a draft inspection report. And then finally, at the end of the inspection, upon a successful inspection, we will issue a final report and an official inspection certificate. And that would be a formal document that your system meets a requirement. And you might be asking, well, why should I participate, right? What are some of the benefits? I know Ricardo touched on some of them, but here's also kind of a simple, view of the 3 key benefits that this lab offers our partners, which is it's going to be a rigorous inspection, right? It's reducing your risk when you're deploying your system to production. You're also looking at an optimized safety. So our inspectors will be verifying your product that it meets the demanding safety and security criteria in an efficient and optimized way. And then finally, it's going to be a seamless integration. So future-proofing compatibility and accelerating your time to market. We're really proud to have an incredible ecosystem that's already formed around the NVIDIA HALOS AI Systems Inspection Lab. And as you can see, we have a growing list of members across automotive and robotics, from sensor vendors to stack developers, to industry physical AI robotics partners that we're really proud of. And really, we hope that you got from this presentation an understanding with what NVIDIA HALOS is, which is it's a full stack for a comprehensive safety system for autonomous machines. So both AV and robotics, things that operate in the physical AI, in the physical world, and where there's intelligence. It comprises of hardware and software elements that make up the database of pre-assessed evaluation database. And then we have our NVIDIA AI HALOS Inspection Lab, which is really targeted to help the community accelerate its path to certification. And we hope that you keep following our Safety in the Loop live streams as we cover more of these topics.
Man, well, I can't tell you. So first of all, that was amazing presentation. And Ricardo and Ekram, the amount of details you were able to cover in such a short amount of time, to be honest, mind-boggling. We have so many. I'm also very impressed with the viewers we have today. So many really great pointed questions. And I think we have just about enough time to cover most, if not all, some of the ones that we highlighted that I think will help the most people. So with your permission, we can go ahead and tackle some of these questions. And then maybe in the meantime, while we're taking these questions, Ekram, do you want to maybe share maybe the website for the safety? And then I'll put that up on the screen while we tackle some of these questions. People can also use that website for reference for future. Okay, great. So let me see. I think, all right, so let's start. We have a good question here. Let me see. I just had it up. Okay, well, first of all, this was shared by someone in the chat a little earlier. I'm reading from my cell phone because I have another monitor here, but the Safety Inspection Lab is a great concept. I have a question on the practicality of NVIDIA's inspection lab regarding independency and IPs during such inspections. What would we say to that? I can't put it on the screen because it came up to something else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great question. So as I mentioned, the accreditation, one of the focus of the accreditation is independencies. Independency, even, I mean, from our own interest, in the sense that the inspector, they have to, as I mentioned, one of the things we do, we inspect that that a partner, a customer have implemented a requirement that we have, a safety or cybersecurity requirement. Oh, well, it may happen that the requirement is not well written. And in that case, we should not defend the requirement just for the sake we are NVIDIA, but we want to go back to the engineering and say, well, it's true, it cannot be objectively assessed. This is one type of independency. The other independency, I think this is what I mentioned, is the IP aspect. So we have a very strict thing, like first, before to select the inspector, we are sure that, for example, the inspector has no any relationship, direct or indirect, with the inspected company. As also, every project is in silos. So only the two inspectors can review the discussion. There is no possibility, and this is one of the things we are inspected against, that others through the system can have a look to what is done. So this is why this was one of the key reasons we wanted to be accredited, to have a tangible and proof assessed by a third party that our process is sufficiently independent.
Oh, that's what a great question. So thanks, and a great answer, Ricardo. Really appreciate it. Okay, this one I could put on the screen. This comes in from YouTube. What are the primary challenges in moving from the current technical reports, TR, and publicly available specifications to a formal normative standard, like the ISO IEC TS 22440 series?
Oh, Gobal, you read in my mind and you touch my heart, in the sense that it's so it's painful, in the sense that, I mean, excluding jokes. So it's a process that, of course, when you transform something from the state of art, and by the way, in AI safety, it's an incredible amount of new papers every day. It's different than in the past. So there is really a huge amount of things, and the role of a committee is to select what's matter, what is sufficiently applicable, what is the state of art. So this is one thing. When we transform from TR to a standard, you need to filter what's practical, it's practical, what can be executed, and what is the state of art. Second is that, yeah, there are some points. I just mentioned one. As so people working on safety may know, there is in safety there are those ASIL, like ASIL A, B, C, D grading, or SIL 1, 2, 3. Oh, well, how do we connect that, I don't know, an ASIL-D system should have this risk of a failure related to AI? That connection in a quantitative way, it's a complicated topic. It may impact products. So it's a long process. So this is the way we do it. Of course, in a safety standard group, it's different countries participating. We harmonize. So that is the process. But yeah, indeed, it's a key step.
Well, that's great. Also, it's so amazing to have an expert like you with such great experience. Okay, we have another question from you too. This is coming in from Fonz. Can we use an agent AI to manage all the ASO policies in RTSP?
Okay, I'm not fully sure I got the detail of what Francis mentioned, but let me answer in this way. If the question is, if you can use AI-based tool like an agentic AI flow to do the work that a safety engineer may need to do, as in the flow, defining hazard and risk analysis, going in the safety requirement. You definitely can. Now, the point is, it's an AI technology, so as such may have issues. So we typically have different level of using an agentic AI or an AI-based tool. It could be analytics, it could be assist, it could be adapting, or it could be automating. So in the TS 22440 standard, we are creating the requirement about that. Of course, as you can imagine, if the AI tool is just assisting or helping a safety or cybersecurity engineer, is one set of requirement. If it's really automating, this grows more. I have in mind one experience of an OEM that used AI-based tool as a test to do the hazard and risk assessment, and they rated that as good as a junior safety engineer. But it's a great result. This will grow. So the short answer is yes, but of course, you need to be mindful. And I remember a discussion with a certification agency. We said, are we going in a direction in which the safety analysis is done by a tool, and even the safety assessment is done by an AI tool? But of course, as I mentioned, there are some requirements in order to achieve that.
Very cool. Okay. We answered this one earlier, so I'm going to unstar this one. Okay, here's coming in from Nacho on YouTube. Given the complexity of describing the richness of the environment, which standard offers the most suitable framework for defining an ODD?
Great question. Great question. Difficult answer in the sense there are few standards, the ISO 34503, the ISO SAE Pass 22736, and other. There are also open standard. I mean, on one end, there are those standard and other, for sure, I forgot one of them. The other is how you define an ODD in a formal language, and there is initiative, ASM as one of those, somehow defining the way you specify in open language those ODD. This is very important because also accelerate automation. As we have seen earlier, we are strongly using things like Cosmos or Omniverse, NUREC to generate that. And of course, having a framework to define ODD and scenarios in a clear way, it's key.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Nacho, for that great question. Okay, here's coming in from LinkedIn, it looks like. In the HALO safety framework, and I'll bring this webpage up in a second, how are the risk assessment activities concretely tied to the model and data lifecycles? For example, how does the risk identified during AI model training flow through to a system validation and eventual deployment?
Oh, that's really great question, Zainab. And I mean, we have a few minutes and we will need a lot of time. And I will follow up with you offline about that. So I would say first, explainability. Let's take one, or let's take the also the model life cycle aspect. So somehow you identify the risk, as you have seen in all the life cycle, on the different step of the life cycle, you feed these back into the analysis. So in some cases, it could be that you need to go back to the hazard risk assessment. In some other cases, it could be that you can solve more with retraining, or it could happen at the end when you deploy and you do tests after, so just before deployment or even after deploying with near misses, and then we go back to retesting and then feedback. Of course, it's key, you are right, to feedback back to the system and to the hazard risk analysis and to expand on the system limitation. So there is not one answer. There are many points. And they all need to be coordinated. So I will be happy to sync offline with that to give more details.
Okay, thank you. That's really great. I'm really thankful for all the viewers here for asking such great questions. Okay, this is one's coming in from let me see. Oh, she has a follow-up. how does NVIDIA Halos incorporate explainability requirements into its safety framework? For example, ensuring that critical AI components can provide interpretable reasons.
Another great question. So I would say there are many ways. Of course, starting from the way the model is architected, including embedders, including other approaches. There could be also, I think we said, using reasoning models, reasoning VLM, to use as a judge or as an explainer. There are ways in which you design model for explainability. There are many different ways. One of the critical points is how you assess explainability, how you measure explainability. That is a complex topic as well.
Very cool. Okay. Well, this is fantastic. Well, I mean, it looks like, let me see. Looks like this viewer is all over the place. She's also on LinkedIn. But this is a good question. So I'm going to happily give her the floor again on this one. At what stage does NVIDIA Halos Inspection Lab intervene? Does it monitor and validate while simulation tests are running, or is it only used to analyze post-simulation test results?
Another great question, Zainab. I think I'm really impressed. So now, let's say at the stage is the lab is mainly analyzing safety, cybersecurity, and AI safety case. So documentation, results. Now we are also planning to extend from 7020, ISO IEC 7020 accreditation to ISO IEC 7025 as a testing lab, also to support, in this case, supporting external entities and partners with a safety evaluation framework so that they can either directly on behalf of NVIDIA or on behalf of the end user to perform also tests according to the test plan that we have inspected. So this is our plan.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. All right, we're going to move over to Chris. Chris has a great question here from YouTube. What global safety and cybersecurity inspection standards should exist for the United Nations as a whole to certify AGI systems before the deployed singularity at scale? This is a big one.
Chris, that's a big one. Do you want to spend one dinner with me and we go through it? So anyway, so just joking. I mean, it's a complex topic. There are different entities. I give you one example. The UNECE regulation, it's true, is adopted by a subset of the country. But on the other hand, for example, the US is informed by the UNECE regulation, and then entities like NHTSA, they took things. So this is one way. There are within the UNECE regulation, there are safety, cybersecurity regulation for the different level, as I have shown in the slide. So that is the thing. How easy is to connect all these pieces? This depends, but I think there is a sincere effort to make that somehow all connected.
Okay, great. Well, also very, very thankful for that question. Here's a question from a LinkedIn user. How might adversarial robustness, for example, resistance to adversarially perturbed perception inputs be integrated into certification processes for autonomous systems? Great session. Thank you very much. That was a hard one to say out loud, by the way.
So thanks. So thanks to that user. Yeah. So we are, for example, in the TR 5469 and the TS 22440, we have a close section on adversarial attacks. Of course, with the eyes of safety. Can an adversarial attack, for example, affect or block or invalidate some of the safety guardrails? So definitely this is a key piece. Now, as usual, you combine two words, safety and cybersecurity. They work all together, but definitely this is covered by the standard that I meant.
Okay, very good. All right. I'm first of all, I got to thank, we have a bunch of people helping behind the scenes. It looks like everything's calm and cool in this. We've got a bunch of people helping in the chat and in our team because we have so many great questions here. So we want to make sure we're getting the right ones here. All right. So here's a good one that came in from Captain Obvious, no less, from YouTube. Captain Obvious is asking, What strategies do you use to align AI systems in the open world? How do you avoid that physical AI systems don't hurt people if they get noise in the input? How to filter the perception for noise?
Okay, I mean, I think I have shown in one slide with the failure mode of AI, and this was one of them, of course. So basically, I would say there are different methods, architecture, guardrails to cope with sensor noise or uncertainties on the sensor input. So it's more, it's both an architectural aspect. So you may have guardrails that, for example, you detect noise or detect obstructions. Of course, you always need redundancy. So if one sensor is noisy or obstructed, you use other sensor. But then I think my answer will be you need to have that since the beginning. If you remember also in one slide on uncertainty, I was also mentioned that uncertainty at runtime due to input noise should be part of the uncertainty quantification and evaluation. So that are the strategies. Those are the strategies.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And I want to circle back to an earlier question we had from a viewer. How does the guidance, I'm not going to read all these numbers. How does the guidance practically influence the design and development process for a new AI-based automotive safety feature?
Yeah, no, sure. I think that was somehow the message we wanted to give with that VVV things and the flywheel. So let's say in practice, how does it work? First, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. So the first thing we did is to check maybe some of the requirement in the ISO PAS 8800 or the TS 22440, TR 5469 are already part of our flow, and that was in fact the case. Then with the remaining requirement, what you do is say, okay, let's wait a moment. Let's look from the system point of view, what does it matter? And then we implement in our processes, we are extending, and we have extended the process to cope with that. This is, let's say in a short way, how we made that in a practical matter.
Okay, that's great. All right. Well, we may try to pull in another question or two, but in the meantime, I want to draw everybody's attention to this great event coming up. For the first time, Jensen will be giving keynote in Washington, D.C. at GTC DC. And this QR code will bring you to that webpage. A couple of really cool things happening. Besides the keynote, which is available for everybody worldwide, so it's virtual, so it'll be live streamed. Obviously, we would love for any developers that are watching this, if you have the ability to come to GTC DC, we highly suggest it. It's a great event, not only for the information sessions and the labs, but also for the networking. Super valuable for companies to find your next partner or a good connection in the industry that can help you. NVIDIA will be there in full force, of course, as well as many of our partners and customers and developers worldwide. So we hope you can come. If you do come, I will be there. A bunch of people from our team will be happy to help with meetings. We have a WhatsApp group we've started for attendees. Let me know if you need access. You can reach me by going to edmar.net. And then we also have, we actually have a bunch of recommended sessions if you are going to be attending. So this QR code will bring you to those sessions here. AI safety and practice, NVIDIA HALOS, advanced end-to-end autonomous driving. Really, and look at these speakers, really great people, thought leaders in the industry will be doing these presentations. This is coming up from October 27th to 29th. And as typical, most of these sessions will be available afterwards for on-demand viewing. So if you can't make it, you can watch these afterwards. We definitely hope that people will come. And while we have the screen open, we have the Carla Cosmos integration is now live. That QR code will bring you there. And then we would love for you to follow us. Those are the QR codes for LinkedIn and X pages. I'm going to leave these sessions on the screen. Let me make sure. I think we might have another question here. Okay, here's something. It squeaked in under the time. We've got Cormac asking from YouTube. How do new EU regulations help or hinder developments?
Oh, yeah, it's a good question. And I mean, at the end, we need to be mindful of doing what's the right thing and not over-engineer. So how to do that? One way, for example, we recently had an HALOS AV Day in Munich during IAA, in which we invited all the CERT agencies. We had a panel and also to make clear to them that in order that safety, regulation, and standard are really applied, they should not stop innovation. I can be very frank, at the beginning of the journey, and this is why, by the way, NVIDIA is so involved in this. The beginning, it was kind of this. So people looked for a physical AI system with a say, oh no, we need to put 50,000 guardrails and whatever. Now, the more there is a discussion, more people are joining, such a community of people share expertise. I think we are really converging in something that is accelerating the deployment rather than slowing it down. Then, of course, there are certain things that are more or less, let's say, hindering. But in general, exactly this is what we want to do: create a community to make regulation and standards really a value for the world. And I think we are going in that direction.
That's amazing. Okay, very cool. So listen, I'm gonna, if you guys don't mind, I have a couple more questions. So so don't unplug your webcam yet. All right, so we got something coming from YouTube. This is coming in from Mohammed. He's asking, how do you assess and test the explainability of the A model used?
Yeah, if you ask me to answer such a question in 1 minute, I mean, I will win the kind of a Nobel Prize. No, I mean, so joking. I think I already said somehow it's a step-by-step process in which there are some objective way to evaluate explainability, formal ways, and somehow using AI model to explain AI model. But I think also this we can follow up offline.
Okay, great. Okay, cool. We have a question from XC here on YouTube. What happens if there's a random hardware fault? Is that part of the AI safety or just regular functional safety?
Oh, that's a great question. So I think when we started the TR 5469, this was one of the debate. But immediately the agreement was, I mean, an hardware fault is an hardware. Of course, multi-million transistor GPU is more complex than an 8-bit CPU. But at the end, hardware is hardware. So yes, the answer is just regular functional safety. You apply ISO 26262, IEC 61508, and then you must cope with those failures in this way. That's not, I would say they are not really part. Maybe the only thing, I mean, is that on the other end, you can benefit. You may say, for example, transient fault or soft error may not be, in certain model, they are kind of noise, and so they may not be so impactful. So you may evaluate safeness of liveness. So there are things, but yeah, the short answer is what I said. Functional safety still apply.
Well, that is super helpful. Wow. Okay. So we definitely have answered, I think, the main important questions. However, we didn't answer all of them. So I would like to invite everybody to leverage the link that our producer Amelia just shared in the chat. We've created a dedicated Discord thread specific to the safety live stream. So you can continue asking questions there, and then our team will follow up and with you there. So I know Ricardo mentioned a couple of times, hey, well, let's follow up on that. Use that Discord thread to do exactly that. I'm going to put it on the screen only so people can see it who are watching afterwards. Obviously, good luck remembering this link, but take a picture of it or something. But the key thing to know there is that if you go to our Discord server and go to developer tools, you'll see live streams. And then there you can actually go to that thread. If you're not a member of our Discord server yet, I'm going to put on this really, as I often do, I'm going to put on this obscene graphic, obscene largely graphic here for our Discord address. There it is, right over each of our faces. That's how you get to our NVIDIA Omniverse Discord server. Just go to discord.gg/NVIDIA Omniverse. Once you're a member of the server, you can follow along a bunch of topics, including this live stream, as I mentioned earlier. And then before I leave, I also would like to share one thing. We mentioned GTC earlier. And why can't I see it? Oh, this is why. Okay. Where is it? there it is. We have our GTC Golden Ticket Developer Contest. So this is really fantastic. We have extended this contest, and so you'll have more time to actually enter. This is for a free conference pass. Not only are you getting a free conference pass, but special seating for the keynote, DLI course, invitation to attend the World Shortest Hackathon. And look at this. That's something I wouldn't turn down. Merchandise gift bag. And of course, as I said earlier, lots of cool stuff happening. So highly encourage any developer out there. You can go to the Golden Ticket Contest page. I'll put it in the chat right now, but if you miss this link, just search for NVIDIA GTC DC Golden Ticket Contest, and you will be there. Okay, so we still have a lot of people watching. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I want to especially thank Ikram and Ricardo. What amazing, you guys did so great planning and production work on this one. Great information sharing. Do you want to leave last words? What are your final thoughts? What do you want people to really take away from this past hour or so? We'll start. Ricardo's done a lot of talking, so I'm gonna give him a minute to think about his thoughts here. What would you like to say today, if you want to leave somebody with one thought?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to encourage our partners who are developing on NVIDIA products end-to-end to reach out to us to learn more and to participate in our NVIDIA Halos AI Systems Inspection Lab. We want to help the community to help and really, we're really focused on safety. So if you want to learn more about safety, reach out to us and we're happy to help.
Those are great closing remarks. Okay, Ricardo, you've had a couple extra seconds, so I can't wait to hear yours.
Yeah, okay. No, I think what I could say is the following. Safety is so important, and this is why we have created Halos, and the message is safety should not be selfish, in the sense that really is something that you need to expose, you need to explain, you need to discuss, you need to involve the community. I remember in GTC San Jose, at the end, one person came, oh, wow, you are sharing so many information. Are you crazy? No, we are not crazy. We believe that safety is achieved as a community. And this is why we believe strongly also in a live stream. And thanks for all the team to making possible that thing.
Thank you. We lots of great comments coming in the chat. Thanking, look at this, love this session from Renee there on LinkedIn. Thank you all. Really, what made this session even more special is all the great comments and questions we had throughout. So thank you all for watching. I think we have another one planned in about a month from now or so. So follow our event calendar. I'm sure Amelia put that link in earlier, but it'll be in the description of the video also, so you can keep track of upcoming live streams and office hours, study groups. Keynotes, the GTC will be up there. I also want to just shout out to Lux here, who he said he's looking forward to the transcript. And the slides. So Ricardo and Ikram, could we share these slides perhaps with the community? Is this something that can be public?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
So what we'll do, everybody watching, we will add these slides to the Discord thread that we promoted earlier. So we'll put the link in the description below. So just give us a little bit to figure that out, because we have to condense them a little bit and make sure everything's there. It's good for public view, but we showed it live, so I'm guessing it is. Okay, so everybody, thank you so much for watching. This is, look, someone watching from Singapore. All right. All right, I'll stop talking. Let everybody enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you again, Ricardo, Ikram.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.
We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.